Merry Christmas and happy holidays. I'm feeling a little festive. You look absolutely beautiful, babe.
You look absolutely handsome.
I don't know if you can see it on camera. My tree has a face.
He's got a face.
He's
and
got
you know
a face.
What? I wouldn't imagine that Christmas tree face that you'd wear to look any different.
Oh, you think it's perfect?
I think it's perfect for you.
Well, interesting enough, when you go to look at Christmas sweaters, you look at one that you're drawn to. Maybe it's like picking out a puppy. You're like, oh, but we needed it by this date, so this is the only one I could actually get shipped before we film this. So I did it based on shipping, and then I fell in love with it.
It kind of worked out perfectly.
It was as if the puppy showed up to my doorstep.
Thank you, Amazon, for your fast delivery.
For your fast delivery, so we can be festive. This is, I'm so excited for this episode. We've got some really big news that we have been holding on to since October 26th, I think was the date, or the 22nd. But Sonny Kiriakis will be making an appearance on New Year's Eve in Salem. But we want to go over this whole entire thing because Sonny's not going to be there in person. Sonny is zooming in from Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
From Arizona. So I cannot wait to share with you this news, what to expect, and I'm just very, very excited about it. We also did a behind-the-scenes vlog of this entire process, so we have been just dying to share it with you. So on December 31st, we're going to release, it's about an 8-minute video. We filmed me memorizing my lines, setting up to shoot the Zoom, the getting into character, and getting our shipment of Sonny's wardrobe, and just the list goes on. We turned our living room into Sonny's office, and so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that, because on December 31st, we'll be releasing that. We'll probably wait until the Los Angeles or the Pacific Coast time airs, because you actually see me saying some of my lines, so I don't want to give away any of the story. So December 31st, be sure to subscribe. We're so excited to hop into this. So let me get into the intro so we can talk all about this Zoom and how fun that was. Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa show. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, like and follow. If you're listening on a platform like iTunes, and you think we deserve a 5-star review, that would be awesome. We've been putting up content now for over 3 years. We're having an absolute blast. We actually started our podcast. We got a notification 3 years ago. It was called Personal Growth Nation. Then we switched it to Freddie Alyssa. We've been podcasting for over 3 years. We are having an absolute blast. We want to thank you all for your support. We also want to give a shout out to Jill Hansen. Jill Hansen, come on down. Jill is a new member. We have a membership program here on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're sitting around and you're saying, you know what, one podcast a week of the Freddie Alyssa show is not enough, well, then maybe you can consider becoming a producer, a member, if you will, of the show, and you can get an extra podcast every single Sunday, which is our members group, and on the last Sunday of every month, it is live, where you can ask questions, and it's a lot of fun. So if you want to consider becoming a member, you can click Join Now on YouTube, or you can click Support Now on Facebook. We got the links in the description, and the holidays are right around the corner. I can't believe this year is flying by so fast. If you haven't gotten a Christmas present or a holiday present for a loved one and you want to do something fun and unique, I actually did this for my mom's birthday, and it was the best gift ever. I love hearing her excitement on her. She called me. I booked one of her favorite celebrities. I booked on the app Cameo, and he sang her happy birthday, and I got to text her that. So if you or a family member or friend is a fan of Days of Our Lives or a fan of Alyssa and myself, and you want a shout-out video, a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, a happy birthday, whatever it may be, you can book us on Cameo, www.cameo.com/FMSmith319, and you can request what you would like, whether it's from me and Alyssa, or just me, whether you want us to sing. The options are limitless. Now, babe, where do we even start with this story of doing this Zoom?
First and foremost, hot diggity, you opened that freaking amazing opening here, babe. I think that alone was like subscription worthy, right?
I think it was subscription
like a little
worthy.
Subscribe?
I think I am not only gonna, I think I might submit that opening for the Emmys next year.
Oh no.
I was like, maybe it was crying in the hospital when my character's mom died, or maybe that opening.
The
it
opening
depends.
of the Freddie Alyssa show. Crushed it. Secondly, I would say we could probably begin this back when you and I released a vlog when we went to Sarasota. You got a phone call. or it was an email or something, and you go, oh my God, babe, you'll never believe what just happened. And so many people asked us, what was that news?
Well, even one step before that was to give you this entire story. So Alyssa and I, when we moved from LA to Florida, we got here October 3rd.
Yes.
And I think around October 20th, I got a phone call from Days. And they say, hey, we want Sonny to come here for the Christmas Eve episode or the Christmas episode, something about Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was one episode. And we had just driven 40 hours across country. And they were kind and they were like, we'll get you your flight. And they were super accommodating. But I was like, we literally just got here. And as much as I would love to make an appearance, to fly back and forth and do a 24-hour flight when we literally just drove here, I was like, unfortunately, I want to be there, but I'm going to pass on this. And I kind of jokingly threw out an idea where I said, like, because I wanted them to know I wanted to be there. I just didn't want to do the flight. And I kind of like half jokingly was like, well, I'll zoom in if you want. I mean, people are used to zooming these days. Yeah. And there was kind of radio silence. No one said anything.
You're like, I tried.
I tried. So they kind of didn't reference it. They were just like, just didn't seem to have interest in the Zoom at first. So I said, okay. And then we went to Sarasota because we were looking for wedding venues and we were having lunch. And during that, we actually have it on camera. Like, what a perfect moment. If you look at one of our vlogs earlier, it's in something Sarasota, Freddie Alyssa Sarasota. I'm sure it'll come up. But I got an email and we had to cut out what it was. But Days agreed and said, hey, we want you to zoom in, but we want you to zoom in on New Year's Eve. So I got the news in October and I was like, holy cow.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's the first of its kind. Days of Our Lives and any other soap, I don't think have had anyone video chatting in.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because I remember thinking about it and I was like, now, if there's a scene where you're like making love, you're in a fist fight, or you're like someone's crying and they drop to their knees and you have to catch them, or you're at the hospital bed, or something like that, you obviously need to be there.
Sure.
Or if you're playing like a cop, like it's probably much harder for someone who's like a cop on the show. But if you really watch a lot of the scenes that I've done, if I'm talking to Chad or Billy Flynn and we're in the Kiriakis mansion and that's the whole episode, or Uncle Vic, or you're at the Brady pub, or you're just sitting there talking, a lot of that discussion, unless it's like me and Will, where you want to see the affection in person, I was like, they could probably just Zoom this. Like if my dad calls for advice, or if like Billy, Chad wants to like chat, or Camille, like anyone could Zoom in. And I was like, I wonder if they would just do that. So I'm not sure if I can share what exactly happens. I guess I'll leave that part as the surprise. We'll leave the story part of it a surprise. But what did you think? Because you never really saw me in action, even though this wasn't really in action, but you kind of got to see the whole process because we were videoing it.
Yeah, it was really cool because, we had the producer right there on video chat. So you were able to say hi, he could direct you, do all of that good stuff. And then, they counted down before the scene and they were reading it. And I just have never been with you on set unless it was like Addicts Anonymous, which so different.
Yeah.
But it was just really cool to like be a fly on the wall and watch you do it. And, it was really interesting because this definitely worked because we had the equipment. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious. I mean, cell phones are still amazing video, but we really do have, and you had the audio, like, how to do this kind of stuff because you do content creation.
Yeah.
That's why it definitely worked and why maybe it could work long term.
I mean, the show, because my whole point is I wanted it to be really smooth, because if this was something that I felt the producers would have been like, look, I'm glad Freddie's going to zoom in, but the process was so tedious, we'll never do that again. I wanted it to go so easy and so smooth, so that they were just kind of like, this was easy. And like, we'll do that again. And it went super easy. So we basically asked them, they had to send me some stuff. And I was like, well, can you send me the wardrobe that goes along with it? And I asked for my favorite purple jacket and my black button down, and I had basketball shorts on. So like I'm doing the traditional Zoom. I have my jacket on, and I happen to have Sonny's ring. I brought it with me because I accidentally forgot to take it off when I left the show. Yeah. And so I had Sonny's ring with me. So yeah, I had like my beard like I had now. So I had to shave, and I like felt getting into character. And as soon as I was talking to the producer, it's so weird, the difference when you have accountability to another person, because with you and I, when we shoot content, my entire energy is different because there's the level of professionalism doesn't have to be there. Sure. I can do and say whatever. Sure. But when someone's there who's like paying you for a service, it's funny how you're just like, yep, absolutely, let's get going. And like, you just take notes and you do it. And like, I felt for the first time in a long time, because we make content constantly, but we can pause, we can say whatever, we can show up late, we can do whatever. But there I was like, I'm right on time, I'm ready, hello, how are you, what's going on, great. And we did it in about 15 minutes.
It's quick. Would you say, compared to normally being on set, that it was different? Like, not more nerve-wracking, but did you feel a little more pressure because it had been a while since you'd been on set and this is video chat and you wanted to make sure that everything worked well? Was it a different feeling for you?
It was, because I was responsible for everything. When I go to set, my only responsibility is to know my lines. That's it. So, because I was, because we even had to position the camera, because when we were Zooming, I was like, there were certain physical things that I was doing in the Zoom that the producer, if they weren't looking at the actual camera screen and they just saw me, how would they know what they're seeing?
Right.
So if I was going to like say fist bump the camera, if it was just in the background like a FaceTime, he's not going to be able to see, are we getting the shot that's going to be on TV?
Right.
So we had to position the FaceTime or the Zoom up against the camera so that the Zoom was happening into the camera so that the producer could see the actual camera footage of all of that. I had the audio between my legs. The mic was just here under the camera. And the lights, the reading, like everything I had to worry about while doing all of the lines.
Which there were,
and
a lot.
So it was just, and then I had to make sure that it properly saved. Then I had to hurry up and take it, and I had to put it into the program, and I had to Dropbox it over for their approval. So you don't realize like how much extra work goes in when you go to set. You just makeup please, hair please, wardrobe please, lighting's done, audio's done, editing's done, all of it. All I gotta do is my lines.
Gosh, and that's a lot more pressure, though, when you're in the house for the first time doing it and you have to make sure audio's... I mean, it's kind of what we do with our podcast, but if we have to redo anything, it's just us. Like you said, there's no one else that's paying you to be like, okay, we're showing up. I'm paying you for your time. Let's frickin' go. But it was interesting, too, because you also had to shoot a couple different videos to capture the lighting because they wanted more of like a nighttime light.
Yeah.
At first you did daytime and it was just too bright. That wasn't what they were envisioning. So for us too, it kind of worked out with the different time zones because it was late afternoon in Cali, but it was evening here.
Yeah.
How would they have done that if...
Well, if it had to be in the morning, because the initial thing, because I still feel like when we first decided to do the Zoom, I feel like everybody was just kind of like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And we were trying to like figure it out. So I first took pictures around our house.
Yeah.
I said, we can do it in the dining room, we can do it in the living room, we can do it up here by the bookcase. So I was taking all these photos, and then they agreed on we should do it in the living room. And I said, okay, great. Then the producer was like, well, can you give me a test of what the video and audio is going to look like? So then I went to each location again and gave 3 options. I said, here's the audio and video. What do you think? What about the lighting? And then he goes, the audio and video is great, but the lighting's too bright. I need it to be nighttime.
That's right.
So then we sent another one of nighttime to show what it was going to look like. So there was a lot that went into it.
Yeah.
And it was just over like that.
It went quick.
15 minutes, it was over, and...
I did your hair, or no, your makeup.
Yeah. But I just combed it all back, and it was really funny, because I don't think I kept this in the behind the scenes, because I kind of cut out the producer talking, because I was just wanted to keep that all private. But I can share like what was said. It was really interesting, because during the video, when I was doing the test video, I had a beard, and I put the test video in the vlog that we're releasing on the 31st.
Oh, yes.
So people will see the test video I sent.
Cool.
But I had a beard, my hair was a mess. And I was telling the producer, I said, don't worry, I'm going to shave. And I bet you he was like, oh, God.
Please look like Sonny.
But I literally shaved right before.
Yeah.
I slicked my hair back. I put on that suit. And he was like super surprised it felt.
Like,
He's like,
oh.
wow. He's like, you look great. I was like, thanks. I clean up well. So for those of you who saw me clean shaven, it was because of that. But then I think I might have shaved. Actually, I haven't shaved since then. That's why my beard's so long.
It is pretty long.
The last time I shaved was November 10th, and we're shooting this on the 22nd. So I've been growing this out now for like 5 weeks.
Wowzers. So then you're going to release this vlog on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
So that everyone can, because that's the day that Sonny is returning.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, for all the Days fans, and I think just all of our audience in general, I think will find this video really interesting because we've never done this. And you told me years ago when I was on set, you go, Freddie, just take pictures and videos so you can release it. And I go, but it's 7 months away. I don't care. I'll be over it. And I think that helped me here. Like if I knew we had to film all that and wait till like July, you're just over it. But I really wish I would have done this because honestly, like we did me memorizing my lines.
Yeah.
You know, like just fun stuff like
everything. You guys are going to love it. It was really fun to
it
make.
was really, really cool. And then of course, because like first, like Sonny's cultured. So I'm always having to say like these weird words. So again, I don't want to give anything away, but I had to go on YouTube to learn how to pronounce a couple words because he's always like traveled the world and all this stuff. So I'm sitting here trying to learn.
You've done that a few times in the past. We've had to Google stuff. We're like, what's that?
Oh yeah, I always had to because there's times that I would go in and I would ask the director morning of, but I always just felt that was super lazy. Like, don't you feel like they'd be like, I'm directing a whole show and you didn't want to take 2 minutes to like ask what this is? So I would always want to look and I would ask people, but doing Days for that many years allowed me to, you know, my grammar got much better because I very rarely ever dropped a line. Like I would say out of my 5,000 scenes, I probably forgot my lines like 3 or 4 times ever.
Yeah.
But I probably had about a dozen or 2 times that I would kind of not improv, but just the way I always did it. I would just say what I wanted to say as long as it was in the context, but my grammar wasn't correct. And they had to go, hey, Freddie, it just, you can't say this. And I go, oh, or just the way. So over time, my grammar got corrected by having to know, because if you think about it, like going to high school and like you would do papers, but if no one ever corrected you, how to...
Was it Deidre behind the camera?
Cut. Yes.
So who really was it though? Just a producer, or is there a script supervisor?
It would be, I mean, it was the stage manager who would say it, but the stage manager has like the entire booth in their ear, so I don't know who was saying it, but they would catch it, so it would, you know, and I can't even think of an example right now, but it's
I know
like
what you're saying.
It's like the Will and I or Will and me or you know, like how I said, oh, the clock was broke.
Right.
And you're like, no, the clock was broken. Or whatever that is. Yeah, the clock is broken. So little things like that. But yeah, I've been really excited because people have been asking me about is Sonny going to make an appearance. So I'm just so excited that we announced this around the holidays, so you can look forward to Sonny zooming in.
I love it.
And I can't wait to see it on New Year's Eve. So we've been holding that little surprise for a while. So today we have a sponsor from Faraday.
Is this going to be a thing now, babe?
It's a thing.
Faraday. Yes, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Faraday. It is a family-run brand fueled by purpose and optimism. They have menswear, women's wear, jewelry. You guys might have seen I've been wearing this gold screw cuff from Faraday for quite a few weeks now. And literally yesterday, I was at a doctor's appointment and I go in and the owner goes, oh my gosh, I love your bracelet. I love your bracelet. I'm like, thanks so much. She goes, come here real quick. And she goes over to her computer screen. She goes, you have to explain to me where you got this. Can you spell it out? So I go, funny you ask.
I've spelled it out many times.
Faraday brand. It's FAHERTY brand.com. And I did tell her, it's kind of a great day today because I actually have a code.
Oh, did you give her the code?
Yeah, I did. And it's Freddie Alyssa. You can get 25% off at checkout. And that's for any viewer, anyone listening. So it's just crazy because everywhere I go, I feel so many people ask me now about this. And I'm just like, I've got the info for you.
That's a true word of mouth.
Isn't it true word of mouth?
Yeah.
So if y'all are looking for some Christmas gifts, holiday gifts, whatever it might be, like I said, menswear, women's wear, accessories. They even have masks, blankets, really cute jewelry. Great company. Thank you so much, Faraday, for being a part of the family. And again, you guys can go to FaradayBrand.com/Freddie Alyssa and use code Freddie Alyssa for 25% out at checkout. Isn't it crazy too when you have such a fun surprise? And I feel like the majority of, the audience who watches Days and also follows you on social, that's a big thing. They're like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? Is Sonny coming back? And then Will's news came out that Chandler was coming back for Christmas, and everyone's like, are you coming back? No. And you're like, I've got this big surprise. It's kind of like, do you remember SNL with Kristen Wiig? And I think the surprise, I think it was Sue is the character. I love surprise.
And she couldn't say it. There's a surprise birthday party.
That's how I feel we've been feeling for the past few months.
Yeah. But it hasn't even been, it just felt like a lifetime ago.
When
I guess
did you
we
shoot
found
that?
out. I guess we found out like literally 2 months ago we found out, but we shot it on November 10th.
I mean, that felt like a
Forever.
year ago.
Forever
to
ago.
be honest.
I don't know what this last 5 weeks, as much as it's been like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas, but
It's
was
flying. How long have we been here? Since October 3rd? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So a little, like almost 3 months?
almost, yeah.
I mean, like that.
Well, what's your whole take on this year? Because this is going to be the last podcast of the year. Mm-hmm. You know, we might, if we for some reason sneak one in, but I think we're just gonna chill. We've got that really exciting video for the vlog coming on the 31st, and we might release like a couple other videos. But today, December 23rd, when you're seeing this, is going to be the last podcast of the year, and we're coming back on January 6th. Mm-hmm. But like I said, in between, we're going to have that video and maybe like another one or two. So we're not going to go off the grid completely, but the podcast, we're going to take a break. And I kind of wanted to maybe just go over the year and just, talk about just everything that's going on, and then just like what you felt for the year and all that.
You know what I think could be fun is quickly going month through like the photos on my phone to see like what really was happening, where we were at, and then kind of chat about that. Because when we got into the new year, we were full on Freddie and Alyssa show. We were doing guests in the studio, remember?
Yes.
And we were like, let's get an agent again. Let's go audition. Like we were all in.
Was that it? That was in January that we met with Denny?
I think it was January or February. That's why I was going to look. That's, it's so weird. Looking at pictures on my phone is the only way I can recollect what month it was. Because I'm like, oh, we went there. We did that.
Yeah, I do you think that's because of the just adventurous like life that we strive to have, and that we kind of don't do it on purpose. Like I think for the past few years, we've every year just been like, look, let's just focus on one thing and make this just like easy.
Right.
Like let's just master one thing.
Yeah.
And then then we started in January, but we're like, let's be ambitious. Let's really focus on selling our script. Let's go get an agent. Like we
were really hot into TikTok content too. Remember, we were making videos like every day on there, which I really want to get back into because I love TikTok. But we were like all in. And your parents came in December, so leading into that January, and we had spent Christmas in LA. It was like the first time I think you'd ever done that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there for Christmas? I don't think I have.
Me and you did, like in 2014.
That's
we
right.
had Carl's Jr.
We had Carl's Jr. I do recall that.
In the car.
In the car. And then we had left storage. We were at a storage place.
Oh, getting some stuff.
Remember the NoHo one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were. But it was the only other like Christmas we had spent there. We had never had any family come out. So your parents came and we went to, what's that restaurant? Firefly.
Yes.
Off of Ventura in Studio City, which love that place. And they had just so many cool meals and courses because we went, Christmas Day?
Yeah.
And it was just so lovely and so nice. And we played so many games with your parents. That's the thing I love about having friends and family. You can sit down and actually play card games or a drinking game or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's more to do. For us to just sit here and play cards, like, yeah, it's fine.
But it's not, yeah.
You had different energies and stuff.
But yeah, we had this huge plan, and I think everybody had plans for 2020. And then when February came and I realized that I was done with the show, we were like, okay, well, let's go full into the podcast, and that's what we wanted to do. But we said, while we're going to be in LA for at least another year, let's get an agent and see if the universe wants us to stick around to act and do another project. So we got an agent, and then we had our screenplay ready to go. So we said, let's not only wait for the agency, let's make it happen ourselves. We decided to get a little script together. We were going to shoot a trailer. We had our friends who were ready to shoot with us, and we were going to start a crowdfund to produce the trailer, releasing it on my birthday, March 19th.
Yep.
And on March 12th or 13th, that's when the whole country like shut down, or when it was when we were told it was a pandemic, or something happened significantly on like that 13th, and we were just like, this is not the time. And then we thought maybe this will be over in 6 weeks, and then everything kind of rolled into June, July. So when I was holding the toilet paper up in the air, that was March 11th.
March 11th.
So there was some sort of talk about it coming up, and then all of a sudden it hit. And then I have this photo of me where I wore a mask to the grocery store on March 17th.
Let me see it. Oh, yeah. But you know what?
116
that
comments.
wasn't a mask. That was just I think there was a T-shirt that we wrapped around, because at that time, CDC had said, oh yeah, you don't have to wear them. Remember at first they were saying, oh yeah, don't worry about wearing them. And then but I was like, babe, because I used to wear a headband around my face when we were walking. Because there's so many people. Remember I had that headband and I'd wear it around. Yeah. And people look at me like I was nuts. And I was like, listen.
Well, here's our take on this. Like, before the whole story became, like, now masks have become political. But before this was ever a divided issue back in March, I just remember thinking, well, everyone I've ever seen who's in the medical field always has a mask on. Yeah. Dental hygienists, doctors, surgery, they pull it off. They do the washing the hands with the elbows. Like, I've been like, oh. And then in the, I don't know if it's just Japanese culture or Chinese culture, but certain cultures, when they're sick, will wear masks. Yes. You rarely ever see an American wearing a mask in an airport, but you'll see someone who's Asian wearing a mask. And I always thought they were doing it to not get sick. They were maybe it was not to get sick, but they were doing it because they didn't feel well, and they're putting others first. There was even this girl who, at our old apartment in Pasadena, had on a mask. This was years before the pandemic. And she's like, your dog is so cute. And we're like, oh, you want to pet him? And she goes, oh no, I'm sick. She goes, I don't want to get your doggy sick. So, but
so much respect.
There was so much respect about other people. So before this became a divided issue, we just go, this is probably a good idea to wear masks.
This is so funny going through the months on your phone.
Yeah, well, just to see, because the funny part is that Alyssa and I wanted to make a documentary, and I remember thinking, like, how can we show people what we're doing? Because if you're showing, obviously 2020, we didn't know it was going to happen, but we were planning on creating success in different fields. And it always felt like bragging at the end of the year to say, wow, this year was great. We did this. Right. It seems like bragging.
Right.
So I said, what if we make a documentary where we just film things throughout the year and get the footage? Yeah. And then at the end of the year, around December, we sit down like a reality show or like a documentary, and you and I, in December, we do the narration in the video of the talking head, and then put in all the footage.
Right.
How great to release a documentary so people can watch and it's softer to be able to share your successes and your struggles journey. With, making it a different way. But then I was like, well, what's really going to go on in 2020? I was like, I just feel like it's going to be boring. Like, I'm going to just I'll work the show, we'll build our podcast. And that was kind of like our plan. Yeah. And we had no idea that what a year was what it was going to be, because I really wish we would have had way more footage. We have the Instagram stories, but that's not the same of putting a documentary together. Of course.
And then also too, once we all were kind of in lockdown mode, there was the whole issue of, well, we're still doing content, but I was like, I gotta learn to do my hair. I need to do my nails, and you had to help me color my hair, which to this day I actually can do some of it myself. But remember, you scrubbed all of my nails off because I had gels on my nails and I couldn't do it. And it just and the dog. Remember, we tried grooming him. Yeah, it was not good. It's not good at all.
Well, we had I think all of April and all of May. We were kind of scared.
Of course.
Like, we were abnormally cautious. And now we're cautious, but we don't stop our lives. Like, when we're out in public, we put on a mask. But when we go out for a run or something in Florida, you don't have to. Like, but we're not as scared. Like the guy who came for the water heater, like we were standing apart. I'm not afraid anymore. I put on a mask and just stay cautious. But those first couple months,
we were terrified.
We didn't really know. But now that it's been around, we get more information on it. But
I remember in the beginning, I had gotten a alcohol delivery, and I put my ID in a envelope and left it outside. And I was like, can you, because I was so scared. I didn't even want to be in contact, and everyone was wearing masks. And I was like, can you just put it back in? Thanks. And so I'd take it back in and I clean it off. And, now it's just, take it and then wipe it off.
And just clean it, yeah.
But I was so scared.
Yeah, well, we didn't have enough information then,
Yeah.
And I think there's some people who are still scared. There's some who weren't, and I think everyone has their own journey, and that's the great part. Again, like anytime we talk about this, we're never judging whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
At this point, we're all adults, and you can make your own decision of how you want to live. We have the way we want to do it.
Of course.
But we're always open to information. Even in March, there were people who were so adamant about a certain point of view.
Yeah.
It's like if enough information came out and we learned that the whole mask thing was a scam, like I wouldn't feel stupid. I would just say, oh, well I was
hey.
rather safe than sorry, I guess. But
Totally.
It's over. I'm moving on with my life. I feel like some
Totally.
people are holding on to their point of view because God forbid the truth comes out that like I feel like people are waiting for the masks to be a scam,
Right.
or for everyone who's anti-mask to finally realize how it really is. And people be, I was right.
Yeah.
I have no
I'll say, hey, I was
care to
wrong.
be right.
Eh.
I don't care to be right. I'm open to always having my opinion changed when new information comes in.
Absolutely.
So it's just been an interesting year. But I feel like around June, July, everyone as a country kind of almost let go of thinking we're going to have our normal back.
Everyone understood. They go, oh, we're here to stay. Because April, May, it was very much, oh, we're all home. Oh, we're all Zooming and drinking. And like everyone was just, remember all the Zooms we would do like with our family? And we're like, why don't we do this more often? And
we've never done it since. We did it for the first 4 weeks and then never did it again. You want to Zoom? You mean like Zoom?
Talk.
Can we just like talk? Can we just text?
And then friends' birthday parties on Zoom.
Yep.
And at first we're like, this is so cool. And you do a couple and then no one ever talks of it again.
We're all creatures though of something new. It's like, and that's what we've realized here, because this is the nicest place we've ever lived.
Yeah.
And there's still days I look around and go, wow, I just feel like this is so cool. But when it starts to normalize, no matter where you are, you get used to it.
Of course.
Like the Zooming with family and playing those games was new, and then it became what it is. Like it seems like everything has its hype moment, and then it becomes normal. Yeah. So as long as we can get healthy enough and figure everything out so people can start getting back together, then it's just like, oh wow, okay.
That's the hardest thing, is that you got to be really careful when you're around people, but it's one of those things that we're all in this together. Literally everyone in the world. I always say that we're all in it together. We're all figuring it out. And it's just so interesting. Like you said, it's just, you kind of get used to the way of life.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing now. Like even for my birthday, which was in July, you surprised me with the whole speakeasy, and you decorated the house as a movie theater, and we just made it our own at home. And it was actually probably one of my favorite birthdays. It was just so special, and we dressed up, and we're like, we're not going to let this stop us from celebrating. And it was just a really unique birthday that I don't think I will ever forget.
Yeah, we made the best of it. And I even saw on TikTok that someone turned their like side garage, like that little extra garage that people would put like a four-wheeler in or something. Mm-hmm. They turned it into an actual bar, put up TVs and neon signs, and they have beer, and they had like they made it feel like a bar.
Cool.
And I even see people turning spare bedrooms now into classrooms for their kids.
Yes.
And people are making home gyms, like that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
So I think yet again, we're going to have this shift where people are going to allocate, like the idea of once having like a fancy car or a more expensive car kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. But now it's like when people aren't going anywhere, it's like it's better maybe to rent an apartment with one more bedroom rather than a new car, because you want that for the classroom or you want it for a home gym.
Yep.
And that's why it's like once we get our furniture sometime in the next 10 years, We want to put our podcast studio upstairs
Yeah.
so that we can continue to compartmentalize this house to utilize the different
space.
experience of like, oh, now we're going to the podcast studio. Now we're going into the kitchen. We're in the dining room to eat. And then because if you're
The
home all the
office to
time,
work.
if you're just in that one room, like we were in
hard.
Coldwater all year during the worst time of the lockdown,
Yeah.
we were just in this no sunlight,
No.
just one room, bottom floor, and just kind
Dungeon.
of yeah. And it was tough, you know,
Yeah.
like, but we made it work, and so. And then, here we are.
So when do you think was the time that we decided to actually make the move? Because I remember in the early months, probably like April, May, June, more April, May, maybe even March, we were like, well, we really want to move to Florida. We were even thinking of talking to the landlord early to break the lease. And then we were like, well, to go and travel during all of this, because it was still really new and we were nervous, understandably, to do cross-country travel. When did we make the decision that, hey, we're going to do this?
We made it twice, because I remember there was one time when we were counting down the days on the dry erase board, and then and then we changed our mind. I think we had a week or two where I remember being like, that would have been a terrible idea.
So were we trying to go early, right? Like, I feel like we were trying to move in July maybe, and we didn't end up going until our lease was up in September.
And then we found out, because we signed our lease September 1st of 2019, so we thought our lease ended on September 1st of 2020.
But it was October, right?
But it was October 1st. So we're like, wait, why did we sign for 13 months? It was weird. And then we were trying to think of how to break the lease and what to do. And we wrote like 4 different pros and con lists to see what we wanted to do, because we had, the first one was, why don't we go to Ohio, live rent-free for the rest of the year, and we'd probably eat for free utilities, like live with our parents, like 6-7 months, be with our family, do our podcast, and literally spend no money. Your parents live 7 hours away in New Jersey. We could go back and forth, spend time with family, and that was like, that's amazing. Hey, baby.
Is he snoring?
Are you snoring?
Are we boring you, sir?
But then I remember looking at that option, and we still didn't know the severity of everything. And we just knew that if we were going to be around family and people going places and going to work, we were upping our chances of transmitting and upping their chances. And our parents are in their 60s. So we were like, let's not do that. And then you and I seemed to be a little more over the top safe at that time.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to go into our family's territory and tell them what to do. Like, we were able to control how we want our groceries delivered and how we were doing things. So we were like, we would save a ton of money, get to spend all this quality time with our family. That was option 1, but we're like, I don't know. Then option 2 was, let's move to Florida and let's rent. And we wrote all the pros and cons down of renting. And then the third one was, let's move to Florida, Airbnb, and within 2 months find a place and buy it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last one was to stay there in California. So we kind of went through all 4. And
Well, I remember at one point too, we were thinking, I feel that we could have gone to Florida, but also we were like, well, maybe we could drive up to Ohio, Jersey. I could drive by Kansas and see my grandma, just wave. But then we realized that doing all of that was just really unsafe for everyone, because, God forbid, you pick something up and then you bring it to Jersey, or, everyone gets it. But that was another option that we were heavily considering, because I wanted to stop and see my grandma, Ohio, Jersey, and then down to Florida. But then also that was going to be another really long drive.
It would have, but the thing that made the drive stressful was that there's yet again, the protocols. Like you can't, like you and I couldn't just stop and go to a restaurant and like eat, or you couldn't, like it was just, it's added. Yeah. Having this whole thing going on in the world and when you're out and about is just, it's almost like, I'm sure having a baby with you, or even having Benji, like there's a different feeling when you and I even go on a walk, when it's just us without the dog. When you have the dog, there's an added responsibility and accountability to everything you're doing. And I feel like the world, because of the pandemic, no matter where you go, there's that added, like, mask and people and like distance and signs and like it's just that extra stuff. But yeah, it's
So when did we make the decision?
it was
August?
it was July.
Oh, it was July.
It was July. We officially made it, and then we started looking at Airbnbs because we said we have to Airbnb first because we can't rent a place online and then show up and it's like not what we want.
Right.
By the time you were to find a place and buy it and go through escrow,
Yeah.
we were like, well, we need an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So we basically looked in the state of Florida. Airbnb, where do you want to go? State of Florida. And we didn't know Orlando. We looked for the best deal for the biggest bang of your buck. So like we were like, we want like a yard. It'd be ideal to have a pool. And so we put all these parameters in and we just kept looking every day.
Yeah.
And because we found this house at such a great deal, we chose Reunion, Florida, just based on the house.
Based on the house. But do you remember the very first, because we ended up deciding Orlando because we knew that ultimately my parents were going to move here, you know, in 2021, early 2021. So we're like, you know, let's just get situated there. And there was one house before this one that we really, really wanted. And they didn't allow dogs.
Yes.
And so I wrote them, I'm like, would you guys reconsider? And they were like, no, no, no. And this place was always on a special list that I had. And I was like, I wonder if Freddie will like this. And we both, I feel, showed each other at the same time. We're like, so we found this house and we both showed it to each other and we go, that's it. And then it just really turned out to be just that serendipity type moment because it was meant to be. It all just kind of aligned.
Yeah. So that's what makes me feel like we made the right decision because, you know, we just don't want to keep moving.
No,
so,
and we signed a year lease here.
Yeah.
At first, we didn't think that was even an option. And then we ended up speaking with, you know, the owners. And this was the first time they had really put the house on Airbnb. So just all those little things that added up, it was in our favor. Because what if this was rented out, booked fully the whole year because, you know.
Well, then we would have had to move. And the reason of renting another place is that when we started doing the numbers on it, you know, you have to pay a security deposit. We only have a one bedroom furniture
yeah.
and then our podcast studio.
Right.
And so we started looking at the things we would need to buy and we started doing all the cost and then just the paperwork and then, you know, because of like
Pet deposit.
And it's also
deposit.
super interesting when you have, you know, like an S corporation because our income goes through an S corp. But then when you're going to buy a house or even when proving income, it's like just extra
it's just
steps.
A lot, yeah.
You know, not as much on renting, but it's just like a thing. So we're like the paperwork and the security deposit and the background checks and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So we were like, you know, and then so we were like, what are the chances that we could just stay here? And they just let us. They were like, yeah, just stay here. So we got to like. We didn't have to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So yet again, we looked at everything and we're like, let's just do this because we just didn't want to have to keep moving.
Yeah.
And we just want to figure out, you know, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And now we have a year to figure it out.
Which I love.
So if we decide that buying's the right move, then, you know, around like April, we got to start looking so that we can find a place. And by the time the lease is up here, like move in.
Sure.
But I don't know. Like this is all new to us.
Of course. And that's why I think, though, especially as we're getting older and all of the decisions we're continuing to make and learn from, really taking our time and really thinking everything through, sitting on it and going over all the pros and cons like we did when we moved. I remember we had that list and we would go through it. And even making the decision to move, we really sat on it for a while. Until it got to a point where we're like, there's just no reason to stay. It just wasn't a good fit for us. We had a pretty epic road trip. Like, honestly, all things considered, it went really well.
Yeah.
You know?
And, but yeah, I mean, you know, we were just very happy to get here and to get settled.
Yeah.
And we got to have our Halloween, our Thanksgiving, and that was amazing. And now we're getting geared up for Christmas and then New Year's. And then we're going to be in 2021.
2021. So for 2021 for you, what are you thinking that you want to focus on? Like, not your resolutions per se, but what's your main focus for next year?
I think the main thing is just to to really create focus on one or two things. And that's what I'm really excited to like close this year out and enjoy every moment of it. But in 2020, aside from even the pandemic, it's like your energies get thrown into so many different arenas that it just takes it out of you.
Yeah.
Like I want to have a non-negotiable schedule.
Yes.
That we put out our podcast on Wednesday, our producer podcasts on Sunday. We do one vlog a week. And during our spare time, we work out, we explore Florida and have some fun, and we focus on selling our script.
Yep.
And nothing outside of that.
Yeah.
Like I'm like every time I feel like we're like moving towards something and then we get like, oh, we have to shift to here. Like I want a laser focused, non-negotiable schedule. Nothing comes in between it.
Yep.
And just like this place is good till December. We're solid. We don't have to move.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to just, because this year just was like insane.
Yeah.
It was insane.
It really was. I looking back at it, I'm like, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like just everything that happened, what we did moving cross country, the way we did it all, it just was a lot. And I really think like constructive criticism for us just in life is sometimes we have our plate way too full with too many different things, which is basically what you were just saying. And I think that next year, looking and keeping a really narrow, specific lane ahead of us and only doing that and not worrying about this project or and just really focusing.
Yes.
Number one is our channel, our podcast, our vlogs. Want to sell the script? That's great. We're going to do that. And, obviously our health physically and mentally and just keeping everything positive with everything going on. And I'm so happy we've built this like little outside gym for us, or like little mini gym, because we were talking yesterday and we're like, 3 times a week, we got to do that.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the schedule. I know we've gotten so good with, our cardio per se and our walks and running and all of that, but really taking everything seriously, keeping ourselves so healthy just in general. Because, what you do with this is it's your temple. Your body is your temple. And we're going to be able to be more successful in other avenues when we're feeling the best that we possibly can.
Yes.
So all of those things go together. I'm really excited for 2021. I think a lot of people feel that way.
We're going to have natural energy. The world's going to be vibing because things are going to come back. And I think there's going to be just an overall presence and vibe and energy of the world of gratefulness.
Yeah.
I think, by summer, if you just think about what happened last year, things started opening up in May.
Yep.
And I think now with I feel like once we get over the hump of the winter around the country, I think the spring is going to be the start. And I really think in the summer, we're going to feel more normal than we've felt. And so that's going to go with us. But yeah, it's the, as Bruce Lee's famous saying, it's not the increase, it's the decrease. A lot of people aren't where they want to be health-wise, business-wise, career-wise, whatever, because they're trying to increase and do other things rather than take away the things that aren't feeding into, what it is. But I heard someone say that a divorce, death in the family, and moving are the 3 most stressful things a human can go through. And if you really think about it, that's what we went through this whole year, losing a job, losing a career, not a career, but what I did for 9 years, losing that is a huge emotional thing.
Yeah.
Then having a global pandemic that has been, from what some describe, I don't know because I wasn't here, nothing this crazy has gone on in how long? Years. And then the whole world shutting down and all of that, then moving cross country, coming to a new place and still dealing with everything in between. I just can't wait to just be creative, because there was a pocket of time here that we had no responsibility except focusing on content, and I could feel the difference of my overall energy.
Yeah.
Where we got to wake up and just hop in the car, shoot videos, have fun on the podcast, and do all this. And it seems like, over the past couple months, it's been a lot of administrative work, management. There's been things that we've been dealing with, and then things like our hot water heater broke, and the shipment of our furniture. It just seems like there's, and then, it's I just want to get all that, just very simple.
Yep.
My plate is going to have the meat, the side, and the salad, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that is what's going to allow us to crush 2021. But this year was transformative for us.
It was.
You know, it got us on a new path, because I just don't know if we ever would have.
No.
Because when things are comfortable, you kind of just stick with it. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we were almost forced out, I'm excited, because we could have just rode that wave and done this at 38.
Yep.
I'm glad we're doing it younger. If this was inevitably where we saw ourselves,
yep,
I'd rather get a 6-year head start than have done this at 38 and been in the same position where we're like, new chapter at 38, and like, let's find a place. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad that in our mid-30s we're going to be able to get like this new chapter going, and then just boom.
Trust the timing of your life, and I truly, deeply do. And I know we're exactly where we're supposed to be, and just really, really excited for the future.
Yeah, so we're really we're excited. We're going to keep in touch with all of you over these next 2 weeks. And
happy holidays, Merry Christmas, New Year.
Yeah,
all that good
stuff. Have a great time with your family. Have a great holiday season, and then we'll be back on January 6th with the podcast. But be sure to subscribe and check out some of the videos that we have coming in between.
Yes.
But we'll be back on January 6th. We want to thank you, and we're going to keep bringing you entertaining, inspiration, and educational content. So we can't thank you enough. Comment below. Let us know what you're doing for Christmas and for the holidays and New Year's, and we can't wait to connect with all of you soon.
We'll see you next year, baby.
We'll see you next year.